Welcome to the deep dive. Today, forget your usual wine spas. We're heading out to the Spanish islands.
That's right. Two very different archipelagos. You've got the Canaries with their volcanoes and then the sunny Balearics.
Exactly. Quite the contrast.
Yeah.
And our mission today is really to give you, our listener, a sort of concentrated guide to their unique wines. We're drawing on sources like Ilhas Espanjolas and some expert sommelier insights.
Yeah, the idea is to cut through the noise and get to what makes these island wines special. You might be surprised.
Definitely. So first up, the Canary Islands. Think dramatic volcanic scenes, unique grapes you probably haven't heard of.
And then you hop over to the Balearics, totally different picture. Mediterranean climate, diverse landscapes, and a mix of, local and maybe more familiar international grapes.
And the big picture takeaway from our sommelier source.
That these islands are essentially a fascinating mosaic, some of the most unique terroirs you'll find anywhere in the wine world, really isolated pockets of viticulture.
Okay, let's dive into that fiery side first. The Canaries. What's the core story there?
Volcanoes. It all comes back to the volcanoes. The soil is just packed with minerals. It's super porous. And this interacts with, well, really significant altitude changes.
Creating lots of little microclimates, I suppose.
Precisely. All across these islands scattered in the Atlantic. It's quite something.
And it's not just the ground beneath, is it? Those trade winds, they're a big deal too.
Oh, absolutely crucial. They bring in moisture, which is vital. They also act like natural air conditioning, stopping things getting too hot.
Keeps the grapes happy.
And it helps keep diseases down, too, surprisingly. It's why, people call it heroic viticulture. Growing grapes there is.
Yeah.
Well, it's a challenge. You're really working with the elements.
Okay, so given these pretty dramatic conditions, what grapes actually manage to thrive there? What are the stars?
This is where it gets really interesting. The Canaries are like a time capsule for grapes. Lots of native varieties survived phylloxera thanks to those soils.
Phylloxera didn't like the volcanic ash.
Seems not. So, take Listan Blanco. You might know it as Palomino Fino, the sherry grape.
Wait, really? The grape that makes Fino and Manzanilla?
Uh,
How different can it possibly be in the Canaries?
Totally different expression. The volcanic soils seem to strip away that nutty richness you get in sherry. What you're left with is lean, really mineral, high acidity, lots of citrus, even a salty tang.
Wow. And it's grown on its own roots.
A lot of it, yes. Pie Franco, they call it. Ungrafted. And then for reds, the big one is Listan Negro. It's kind of the signature red grape.
And what's it like?
It just loves the volcanic terroir. Make these really aromatic wines, usually light to medium-bodied, soft tannins, lots of fresh red fruit, maybe some floral notes, spice, and this subtle volcanic character underneath it all.
A volcanic whisper. I like that. Are there others we should know about?
Well, Tintilla often gets blended in with reds, gives them a bit more color and structure. And then there's Malvasia volcanica,
Yeah.
especially on Lanzarote.
Malvasia volcanica sounds intense.
It is. And the way it grows there is incredible. It thrives in this thick layer of black volcanic ash called picon. They use this special planting method, arenado.
And Oronado. Okay, tell me more. What does that involve?
So imagine digging these individual little pits, they call them hoyos, right into the black ash. Often they'll build these little semicircular stone walls around them, zocos, for wind protection.
Okay.
And the pecan itself, the ash, acts like a sponge. It literally soaks up the humidity from the air overnight and feeds it to the vine. It's genius, really. Very low tech, but super effective in a dry place.
That's incredible adaptation. And the wine itself from Malvasia volcanica.
Hugely aromatic, think exotic fruits, flowers, sometimes a hint of honey, but always with this really distinct saline minerality cutting through. You find it made in dry styles, but also some really amazing sweet wines, too.
There's an amazing ingenuity. Are there other native grapes adding to this picture?
Oh, definitely. You hear names like Negromol, Gual, Vijariego Negro, Viejo Blanco, Verdelho. It's a real treasure trove of old varieties.
And many of them ungrafted. Pie Franco.
Yes, that Pie Franco status is so important. It means these vines have this direct genetic link back centuries before phylloxera forced grafting onto resistant rootstock across most of Europe. You're tasting something very authentic.
So with all this volcanic soil, unique grapes, specific cultivation, what are the actual wine styles like? What should you expect if you pick up a bottle?
Okay, for whites, think mineral and fresh. Often Listan Blanco or Malvasia volcanica. You get that vibrant acidity, that salty mineral edge, citrus, maybe white fruits, floral hints. Just screams for seafood.
Makes sense. And the reds.
Reds, mainly from Listan Negra, maybe with some Tintilla, are generally aromatic. Lots of red fruit, some spice, maybe floral notes again, usually lighter bodied with that subtle volcanic touch. Really versatile, think tapas, lighter meats.
And you mentioned sweet wines.
Yes, the sweet and fortified Malvasias have a long history. They can be incredible rich but balanced by acidity, with intense dried fruit, honey, and spice notes.
It sounds like each island must have its own distinct take on these themes.
They really do. The denominations of origin, the DOs, show that diversity. Lanzarote, as we said, is all about that unique landscape, the Hoyos and Zocos, and that intense Malvasia volcanica minerality.
Right.
Then you have Tenerife. It's the biggest island for production, and it has the most DOs. Like Tacoronte Centejo is known for quite fresh, vibrant reds. Valle de la Orotava is famous for those amazing Trenzado vines we should talk about, and really aromatic whites.
Prensado vines.
Yeah, we'll circle back. Tenerife also has Yucatan del Tesoro, Valle de Guimar, Abona, lots of variation. Then La Palma has steep volcanic slopes, Listan Blanco, Negremal, Sweet Malvasia. Gran Canaria goes from coastal areas up to volcanic mountains, focusing on Listan Blanco and Negro.
Seems like there's huge diversity even within one island like Tenerife.
Exactly. El Hierro is proper heroic viticulture, tiny production, focusing on things like Biharriego Blanco and Negro. La Gomera has beautiful terraced vineyards, grapes like Forastera Gomera. Even Fuerteventura, which is super dry, manages some lighter Saline Listan Blanco.
It's a complex map. You mentioned those Trenzado vines in Tenerife. What are they?
Yes, Cordon Trenzado. It's this really old, visually striking training system. Basically, they braid the vine branches together horizontally over many years.
Like literally braid them.
Yeah, creating these long cordons that snake along the ground, sometimes for many meters. It looks incredible, but it's practical too. Protects against wind, helps with sun exposure and airflow. Really unique to parts of Tenerife.
So between the Inarenado in Lanzarote and the Trenzado in Tenerife and the Pai Franco vines, these aren't just museum pieces, they're living traditions shaped by the islands.
Absolutely, they're smart adaptations. And that Pai Franco aspect, the ungrafted roots, it's like a direct line to the past, preserving unique genetics. You really are tasting history in a way.
This paints such a clear picture. Any particular producers who really capture this spirit?
Definitely. On Lanzarote, you have Bodegas El Grifo. They're the oldest winery in the Canaries, apparently. Their El Grifo Malvasia Seco collection is textbook volcanic minerality, citrus, saltiness.
Okay, oldest in the Canaries. Noted.
Then in Tenerife, Envinet is doing amazing work with old Pai Franco vines. Their Tagana and Tinto is wild, complex, earthy, really volcanic. Also in Tenerife, in the Valle de la Orotava, Bodega Suertes del Marqués works with those Trenzado vines. Their Seven Fuentes Tinto is just lovely, fresh red fruit, spice, that volcanic edge.
Sounds great. Any others?
Vinos Altos de Trevejos, also Tenerife, does high-altitude Listan Blanco, very fresh, mineral, citrusy, bit herbaceous. Bodega Viñatigo focuses on reviving native varieties. Their Listan Blanco is fruity, floral, mineral. Over on La Palma, Vinos de la Dea makes a great Listan Blanco Seco citrus, saline, mineral. And on El Hierro, the cooperative Bodegas Frontera makes a clean, refreshing Blanco Seco.
Wow, lots to seek out. Okay, that's a fantastic exploration of the Canaries.
Yeah.
Now let's head east. The Balearic Islands, what's the vibe there?
Total different world in many ways. The Balearics are quintessential Mediterranean. The sea is the big influence here, moderating temperatures, adding humidity, maybe even a little salinity in the air near the coast.
And the landscape.
Yeah.
Not so volcanic, I assume.
Not volcanic, no. It's more varied. You've got the Serra de Tramontana Mountains in Mallorca, which creates cooler zones, but also plains, rolling hills, valleys, so you get different microclimates and a mix of soils, limestone, clay, sand, much more diverse than the dominant volcanic signature of the Canaries.
So overall, maybe a gentler climate. Easier to grow grapes.
Generally, yes, although those mountains bring their own challenges. And the grapes reflect this. They definitely have their own important local varieties, but you also see a lot more of the, well-known international grapes finding a happy home there compared to the Canaries.
Interesting. Okay, let's start with those local Balearic grapes. Who are the main players?
For reds, the star is Montenegro, especially on Mallorca, in the Benisalem area. It typically gives elegant, medium-bodied wines. Think ripe cherry, raspberry fruit, maybe some spice, some herbal notes.
Montenegro. Got it.
And often blended with it is Calais, another Mallorca native. Calais tends to add freshness, bright color, more delicate red fruit aromas. It's quite distinctive.
Okay, Montenegro and Calais for reds. What about whites?
The main white grape on Mallorca is Mal. You might also see it called Prensal Blanc. It's the most planted white. It's aromatic apple, pear, citrus, white flowers, and often has this characteristic little bitter note on the finish, which is quite pleasant, alongside good acidity.
Mall or Prensel Blanc. Interesting bitter note. And how do the international grapes fit in? You said they're more common here.
Yeah, you find quite a bit of Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah, even Monastrell used in red blends. They add, structure, complexity, maybe deeper flavors, aging potential.
And for whites.
Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc are around, often blended with Mull, perhaps to add a bit more weight or different floral or herbal dimensions to the wine.
So what kind of overall wine styles emerge from this mix of grapes and the Mediterranean climate?
Well, the reds, often based on that Montenegro and Calais, tend to be quite fruity and elegant. Medium body, softer tannins usually, nice acidity, those red fruits and spice, maybe some Mediterranean herb character, garrig.
Yeah.
Blends with international grapes can be bigger, more structured.
Okay, approachable reds. And the whites.
Whites, typically led by Mull, are aromatic, fresh, maybe with that slight bitter edge we mentioned, lots of white fruit and citrus. Blends can be richer. And you might sometimes pick up a faint saline note, that hint of the sea.
Sea influence again. Are rosés a thing?
Increasingly so, yes. They're making some really nice, pale, dry rosés. Very fresh, fruity, perfect for the climate. And there's even a little bit of sparkling wine production, usually traditional methods, sometimes using local grapes.
It's like a diverse portfolio.
Yeah.
And do they have their own DOs, like the Canaries?
They do. The oldest is Dio Benicillum on Majorca, right in the Serra de Tramontana Mountains. It's really known for quality reds from Montenegro and Calais, grown on limestone soils.
Penicillin reds. Okay.
Then there's Dio Plaiovant, also on Majorca. It covers a bigger, more diverse area, more varied soils and microclimates, and they allow a wider range of grapes, local and international, so you get more styles of red, white, and rosé here.
More variety and play along.
And then you hop over to Minorca, and there's Dio Isla de Minorca, unique spot influenced by the strong Tramontana winds. Soils are often calcareous clay. Focus tends to be on Merlot and Cabernet for reds, and Malvasia different from the Canary one, and Chardonnay for whites.
Interesting focus on international grapes there in Minorca. Is there still a sense of tradition in Balearic winemaking alongside the modern influences?
Oh yes, definitely. You can see the history, maybe traces of old monastic vineyards, especially the small terraced plots in the mountains. There's still a lot of respect for the native grapes and knowledge passed down generations. You often find manual work in vineyards, and some producers favor a very low intervention approach in the cellar.
But modernity is creeping in too.
Absolutely. There's a big move towards sustainability, organic farming, cover crops, less chemical use, water conservation is key. And modern wineries with temperature control and stainless steel exist side by side, with places still using traditional things like clay amphorae or large old wooden vats. It's a real mix.
A blend of old and new. So
Yeah.
who are some producers really shaping the scene in the Balearics?
Okay, in Dio Benicillum, Bodegas Masia Battle is a really established name. Great Montenegro wines, like their Reserva Tinto. Bodega Ribas is actually the oldest winery on Majorca, really focused on the native grapes. Their Ribas de Cabrera red blend is excellent.
Masia, Battle, and Rebus in Benicillum. Got it.
In Plaiovant, Miquel Gilabert is known for being quite innovative, makes a wide range. Anima Negra is technically Vino de la Tierra Mallorca, not a Dio, but they're hugely important for championing Calais. Their wine AN, which is 100% Calais, is iconic.
Anima Negra and Calic key names.
Definitely. Also, Jose Alferrer in Benicillum has a really long history, makes solid wines like their Tinto Reserva. Can Majoral in Playa Levant is a pioneer in organic and biodynamic farming. Their Butset Negra Red is worth finding. Castel Miquel in Benicillum is more modern, high-altitude site, makes a red called Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven, okay. And Minorca.
On Minorca, Bodegas Benefita is well known, does a wide range, and is big on wine tourism. Their Benefitet Blanco is a good starting point. And Bodegas Saffarana represents a more traditional style. Their Saffarana Tinto, for instance.
Fantastic list. Okay, this has been an amazing tour. Let's try and tie it together. If you had to pinpoint the absolute core differences between Canary Island wines and Balearic Island wine.
That's okay. Boiling it down. Terroir is the first thing. Canaries, it's fire, volcanoes, dramatic, mineral-rich volcanic soils, plus altitude and those unique trade winds that often gives you wines with high acidity and a real mineral streak.
Right, volcanic and windswept. And the Balearics.
Balearics. It's water, Mediterranean Sea influence, gentler landscapes overall, more varied soils, limestone, clay, sand, generally warmer, more consistent maritime climate, leads to wines that are often more, say, fruit forward, reflecting that warmth.
Okay, terroir, fire versus water. What of the grapes?
Grapes. Canaries have this incredible diversity of unique, ancient, native grapes. Many Pie, Franco Listan Blanco, Listan Negro, Malvasia volcanica, all those others. Balearics have fewer core native grapes, Montenegro, Calais, Mole, but a much bigger role for international varieties alongside them.
So more unique natives in Canaries, more international mix in Balearics, and the wine styles we end up with.
Styles. Canaries really shine with those crisp mineral whites, the aromatic lighter reds, and those distinctive sweet Malvasias. Balearics offer maybe a broader range, more styles of fruit-driven reds, including fuller-bodied ones, aromatic whites, plus that growing scene for rosé and sparkling.
Okay, that clarifies the main contrast. And looking ahead, how do these islands fit into the bigger wine picture? What's their future?
Well, the Canaries seem set to continue as this, fascinating niche, producing unique wines you can't find elsewhere. The challenges are small production, maybe export logistics, but huge potential in eno-tourism and telling that sustainability story.
Makes sense. And the Balearics.
The Balearics are really pushing quality, focusing more on their native grapes now, too. Huge potential for high-end wine tourism, blending vineyards with that whole Mediterranean lifestyle appeal. Challenges there might be land prices, competition, but both regions are making seriously interesting wines that deserve way more attention.
Absolutely. This deep dive really highlights what incredible, distinct wine worlds exist on these Spanish islands, from the volcanic slopes of the Canaries to the sun-kissed shores of the Balearics.
Each sip really tells a story of place, doesn't it? Geology, climate, history, adaptation.
Totally. We hope this gave you, the listeners, some real aha moments, appreciating how different the wines are, the resilience behind them, the unique character of each archipelago.
Yeah, hopefully it sparked some curiosity.
Definitely. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Next time you're looking for a bottle, maybe step away from the usual suspects. Seek out something from the Canary or Balearic Islands.
Or better yet, plan a visit. Experience it firsthand.
Couldn't agree more. Until our next deep dive, cheers.